So let's talk about Lion L. Johnson. Or in this case, Parzival the First by Gamok, printed by Ziz Prints on Etsy. So the Lion L. Johnson model, when it first came out, really kind of tickled my fancy and got me back into painting. I think it might have been Element Ustra Studios, do a whole build on him, and I thought, that's awesome, that's a great model. Alright, it's time to get back in. Here's the thing. I currently am a married man with 2 children. $70 for a model is a bit hard to swing past the boss to make sure that it's approved. However, I can go ahead and get one for $20 shipped and have something close enough to it to practice on at least, till said time. So anywho, I like this sculpt, I ordered it, and I got it in hand on Friday. Or Saturday, I'm sorry. Came the same time the Threat Llama blanket did. And again, thank you, Threat Llama, that's an awesome blanket. Anywho, I went ahead and took him, picked off the majority of the remaining supports from the print that were still on it, and then started base coating. Of course, everything starts in Grim Black Speed Paint. That's the best base coat I've found so far. And I tried something different. I saw the green edge highlights on the Lion L. Johnson model from Heavy Metal, and I figured, I probably could do the same thing with Slap Job. So I got some Emerald Jade Metallic from Army Painter, and proceeded to go through and dry brush that over some of the metal. I went ahead also and hit the darkness across some other parts of the model before going over all of it with some matte white. Now, for the armor, I watered down some Grim Black, threw it over top to figure it would, do what I wanted to do with the edge highlighting, and it didn't work the way I thought it would. Gave me a neat texture. I think still looks pretty good, but I thought, it's not what I wanted, but I'm okay with it. I picked out some details with the Emerald Jade Metallic paint. Also grabbed some Gemstone Red and went over some other details in the armor. I figured since I'm going to have kind of a hybrid blend of color schemes from his Heresy era armor and his new armor, I figured I'd just go all out. I used some Hapote Gold as well as for accent work, especially on the jetpack / power pack, whatever this is going to be called. And then from there, I went ahead and did the sword with some Golden Brand Iridescent Pearl. That's become some of my favorite paint for doing metallics. It gives you a really shiny pewter effect with a good base coat, so I did the sword in that. I also did parts of the shield, especially the lion's mane. I then took some Plasma Coil Glow after a light dry brush of some white across the Iridescent Pearl and made the sword glow with the Plasma Coil Glow paint. Still a pretty solid effect. I have to say it took me a while to learn how to actually use it, because if you don't use it right, that paint can get really strange. From there, the shield is Slaughter Red for the actual board of it, with some warrior skin on the back for a wood kind of look, some polished silver around the edge of it, and on the inside is, again, that Iridescent Pearl, and some Emperor Gold from the John Blanche Masterclass collection. I did the eyes in Moonbeam Yellow. I'm going to have to order a brand new John Blanche Masterclass collection package because it's going to be cheaper than trying to buy some more Grimdark Shadow and the Darkness by itself. It's kind of sad, but that's the world we live in, especially with shipping. Why would I want to spend $4 for a paint than $11.50 in shipping? I'd rather just, spend $50 and get an entire new pack from Amazon. Just throwing that out there. I digress. After that point, the face was hard. I got some opal skin, and I went ahead and hit that across the model, followed by a good little bit of matte white some spots. I then mixed up opal skin and Crusader skin speed paint. I'd say about 75-25 to lighten up the skin color a little bit, and painted that across the face. The hair and mustache were a bit tricky. I grabbed some Demonic Yellow, because I knew the line's supposed to be blonde. After that point, I kind of washed out a little bit with some soft tone, and then went over it again with a good brush of the Demonic Yellow. Give it some depth, some texture. I didn't want it to look washed out and ugh, so came out pretty okay. I'm pretty happy with it. The eyes are a simple army green, because I know his eyes in the books were either blue or green. I've heard both in the lore before. Figure I stick with green. Makes it stand out a little bit more. Makes it a little bit more visually appealing, versus a black dot that's halfway smudged into the eye sockets. And I went ahead and assembled a majority of him, and I used Grimdark Shadow from the John Blanche Master Collection. Without fail, probably my favorite wash of all time. It's even starting to surpass Behdad Black, which, that's saying something, because Behdad Black was the best wash ever made. So, After that point, washed down all parts of the armor, with the exception of his face. His face was finished off with some warm flesh shade from the John Blanche Master Collection. The base is done with a base coat of Grim Black speed paint, followed by some skeleton bone, and then finished in a ash gray, dry brushed over top. I then hit that with some of the Grimdark Shadow. I wanted to go for kind of like more like a, castle floor, concrete kind of look. And I picked out the emblem on the floor in Slaughter Red speed paint. The back is a pass of Hylor Blue along the edges of the design, along with some polished silver and some Hoplite gold as well. After that point, I took some Vallejo Stillwater and put it across the stone to make it look polished like it's been used for a while and kind of give it a little bit of shine so it's not as flat looking against the rest of the model. Then, using the trusty Loctite Ultra Control Gel, I assembled the whole thing, and there we have it. I'm a huge Dark Angels fan. The line coming back 2 years ago was some of the most fun I've had in Warhammer, at least reading-wise. And I'm very glad that the third party is able to step in with some cool models for proxies. One day I will own my own Lionel Johnson, but not right now. Maybe some birthday money. Who knows? But thank you all very much for listening to me ramble on the way to work about a model I painted over the weekend. And as always, keep painting and have fun. It is worth more on the table than in your closet. Long awkward silence from unlocking my phone.